So I'm going to try a different style of video today, much like other YouTubers like Mako. They do videos of this style where they just talk, I guess, while they're soldering. Anyways, I'm going to put together this today. MBC30 Cart by HDR. You can see his GitHub on the PCB there. Yeah, if you want to, if you want to make one of these yourself, you can download the gerbers from his GitHub and get them ordered from somewhere like Park or GLC PCB. So anyways, I'm gonna start with the Rom chip, or the flash chip, whatever you want to call it. This is the MBC30 version, by the way. This is the one that supports 4 meg ROMs, which I don't know if there's any 4 meg games. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but yeah, this is for crystal clear, by the way. I make these carts primarily for crystal clear, but they'll work for, anything really. Prism, any kind of even original games, I suppose they'll work with. But, most people want them for things like crystal clear and Pokemon Prism, things like that. Alright, so this is the first time I'm doing anything like this on camera. So I might be a bit slow. You might get a bit bored watching. I don't know. Whatever, we'll see. Right, where do I start? Soldering iron is on. I probably should move these out of the way. Yeah, this is really different for me. I'm not used to talking in front of a camera. Not so much in front, but you know what I mean. I'm not so used to talking to a camera like this. So I may ramble, I may not. If I do, just ignore us. I'm just talking crap. Right. Best way to do this. You see, the problem I've got is I'm not used to doing this, so it's going to be hard to keep it in frame, maybe. I'm going to have to keep telling myself to check whether it's in frame all the time. What I want to do actually is zoom it in maybe a little bit so you can see a bit better. I don't know how far this will zoom in. I haven't actually tested this yet. Oops. That's alright. You can see that fine. It's actually helped me as well, because I'm used to doing this just, by eye. I don't use a microscope or anything, so having this like this actually helps me line this up a little better. Right, let me have a look at this. I could use the viewfinder on the camera, but it's a bit small, so I'll probably just go with what I can see on the screen. Well, my monitor, that is. Just getting a new brass wool, the thing you clean your soldering with. I'm just getting a new one of those today, so it's a little smaller than the last one I had, so it's kind of moving all over the place. Alright, where's my solder? There it is. Helps if I hold my soldering iron right. I'm going to want some flux as well. I'm just going to do this the way I normally do it. I'm not really going to put on, proper ways to do things or anything like that. I'm just going to do this the way I usually do it, and hopefully it doesn't trigger too many people, because I know everyone has their own ways of doing things. And when they see somebody do something differently to them, they're like, oh no, that's wrong. I don't do it like that. But everybody has their own ways of doing things. Right. That looks okay, almost. Come on. Okay. Just tap that down there. Is that on, is it? Yes, it is. And you can see it's not lined up on this side. So what I'll do is, I'll just move it over slightly like that. I want a bit more flux. I should have a better way of applying flux than a brush, but I'll worry about that later. Come on. Right, that looks okay. This is a lot harder than I thought it would be because I can't really see what I'm doing very well. Get some more solder on the iron. A bit more flux. Right, do I have that tack down? I can't really tell. I think I do. Yes, I do. Okay. So, let me see. That looks okay, doesn't it? Is that going to focus? Yes, it is. Right, I'm not looking at the soldering joints, I'm just looking at the alignment. It's a little bit off on the right. That looks fine. That looks a bit off. I can probably straighten that up a little bit. That move, I can't tell. I can't tell if that moved or not. No, not really. Oh, out of frame a bit. Now, I know everyone's going to be screaming, oh, your soldering iron tip's too big for the job, it's too big. It's not. This is the iron tip I use all the time. Right, is that any better? Yeah, that's alright. Yeah, this is the tip I use all the time. It's the one I'm most comfortable with. You don't need to use a small tip for small soldering like this. You can use whatever size tip that you're comfortable with. Right, so this is funny because the camera's kind of in the way. I'm scared in case I headbutt it. Right, if I go quiet, it's because I'm just concentrating on trying to get this right. Well, that's obviously bridged, but let's have a look. Yeah, you can see it's bridged there. What I'd look to see is if the solder's actually on pins. Hang on, that's not even lined up, is it? No, it's not. It's moved. Well, I've well and truly screwed that up. Let's see if I can get this back into place. If I can't, it's okay. I can always take it off with hot air. Yeah, I may have to hot air this off. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to hot air this off. Can be done very easily. Where are my tweezers? I can't really see very well there. Right. Take that off. Put that back. Them pads are already kind of tinned. I'm just going to go ahead and tin them completely. That looks okay. Yep. Obviously this wouldn't take me so long if I was just doing this off camera, but because camera's in the way, I can't get my head in the right place, so it's going to take a few attempts to get it right. Newfound respect for those that make videos on a regular basis like this and don't make many mistakes, because it's a lot more difficult than it looks. Right, okay, that'll do. Get the solder on for these pins first. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna reflow it anyways. Now I know it looks like I'm soldering this chip on backwards, but that's because the silk screen on this version of the board is wrong, but it has been fixed on later. Well, it has been fixed on the latest version of this board. Right, what I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to line this up off camera a sec, so I can make sure it's lined up this time. So if you just give me a moment to do this. Come on. Right, I'm pretty sure that's lined up. Yes, it is. Do the other side. Tell if that's... Yes, it is. Right, okay, there we go. Hey, now that I've got it lined up, I can just go ahead and reflow all these pins now. Hold it off camera. See, that's why I'm not used to being on camera all the time. How close can I get in? Let's see. Before my head gets in the way. Quite close, actually. Right, I'm not too happy with the way they look. Those solder joints. Flux is just evaporating instantly because it's so hot. Let's give this another try. I think that's about as good as that's going to get. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, no, but it'll work. It's not a bridge there, is it? Let's have a close look at that. I'm going to have to get the eye look out. Let's have a close look at that. No, it's not a bridge, it's just flux. Good, good. Let's do the other side. This is the hardest chip to solder because the pin pitch is so small. So this is definitely the hardest one to solder on the board. That looks a lot better. See how easy soldering is when it actually goes the way you want it to go. Are they actually soldered? I can't even tell. I don't think they are they? It'll be because I already had solder on. I'm going to have to push down while I'm soldering to get them to make a proper connection. Right, I think that's better. Are you going to focus? There we go. I think that's a lot better. Yep, that looks a lot better. Let me just double check this one. I think they're alright, but I'm just going to double check them. You can never be too sure. And you can never use too much flux. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Alright. Well, I think I'm happy with that now. Oh no, I've got some bridges there I can see. Yeah. Let's clean my soldering tip. Bit more flux. I think I'm going to do it this way actually, just so that I can see the bridges as I'm unbridging them, I suppose you could say. That's better. That is definitely a lot better than before. It's definitely solid, isn't it? How close can I get in? Let's see. That might be a bit too close, I think. Yeah, it's a bit too close. Yeah, that looks fine. We'll go with that. And I've just realised all this time I've been doing this, I forgot to turn my light on. That's a bit better. Now you can definitely see better. Well, maybe in my next video I'll remember to turn the light on. So if we have issues with the game not actually booting when we turn the Game Boy on, this chip will probably be the first place to look. In case there's any bridges or if there's a pin that isn't making a proper connection. That'll be the first place to look. And if you haven't already guessed, the RAM is the next chip to solder. Take my slippers off. Right, so RAM. Orientation of the RAM is actually correct, believe it or not. And it goes like that. So this is a much easier chip to solder because the pin pitch is a lot larger. It's very easy to line up like that. And you can just drop a bit of flux on each corner, tack it in with some solder, and then after that you're good to go pretty much. One corner. Just make sure that's lined up. go. You can do the other corners if you want, which I think I will do. Just do 2 because why not? Actually, I didn't get that one, did I? There we go, got it that time. Do I actually have any solder on my... No, I don't even have any solder on the iron. Try that again, shall we? Okay. That's that packed down. And we can solder the rest now. Now, this chip, I've found that this chip has a lot of issues if you don't really solder this chip, like with a lot of solder. You'll get issues with games having, like Pokemon games in particular, you'll have issues with sprites not looking right, they'll be corrupt, you know, save files will get corrupted, that kind of thing. You really have to give this chip a really good solder. So what I usually do is I'll go over it once like this, just to get all the pins packed down. Run up the solder again. Just get all the pins tacked down like that. So that looks like it's soldered. That looks like it's fine. But in my experience, I'll usually have a pin that isn't like fully connected. It might have a connection, but it'll be a really sort of, I don't even know how to explain it, like a really fine connection that doesn't really make good connection, if that makes sense. You've really got to go over these pins with a lot of solder to ensure that there's a proper connection. So that's just what I'm going to do now. I'll get them all tacked down first. Like so. Then what I'll do is I'll just go in with some extra solder on my handy little spool here. And I'll just flow in a bunch of solder like that. And then just run it up and down the pins. Like that. Now yes, I see I've got a bridge there, but that's very easy to remove. Like so. Now I'm much happier with those pins now because I've just flowed a large amount of solder on each one of those pins. So I don't know if you can see, but there's like a big sort of, I don't know what you would call it, but you can see there's a lot of solder on each one of those pins. That's what you want. That's what you want on each pin. So you may as well solder them like that because, you know, the pin pitch is so big, it's not going to hurt to have a better connection, and it'll avoid issues with, you know, corrupt save files and things like that in the future. Possibly. Again, I apologise if I ramble. This is the first time I've done a video like this. I'm always kind of worried that I'm not going to be given enough information, or, you know, the video is just going to be quiet and boring to watch or whatever. I'm sure the more videos like this I do, the more I'll get used to it, and the less cringy I'll sound. You know, I'm going to look back in a year's time at this video and be like, wow, did I really sound like that? That's a lot better. Can't really see, but you can see what I'm getting at though with that. That's what you want. Lots of solder on each pin. And then I'll look and find out that it's soldered the wrong way around. It's not, it's soldered the right way around. But it would be my luck to solder it on and then realise it's the wrong way. Okay, so this part, this is the MBC chip that goes there. These come from original Game Boy cartridges. You need these. So this one in particular, MBC30, is from a Japanese Pokemon Crystal cart. You can do it with, you can make these carts out of MBC3 chips like them, and those come from a wide variety of games that you can get that have like real-time clock functionality, things like that. They'll work just the same, but they only support, as far as I'm aware anyways, they only support 2 meg ROMs. Which is fine, because most Game Boy games, you'll not really find many Game Boy games that are bigger than 2 meg. You know, the popular ones like Crystal Clear and Prism and things like that, they're all 2 meg ROMs, so you'll be able to make these carts a lot cheaper than this one in particular. This is an MBC30. You'll be able to make them a lot cheaper than this. I'm just making this because I have this on hand. I have this this board on hand here. It's a Crystal Clear cart. I may do an MBC3 Flash Cart in the future, probably in the near future. But for now, yeah, I'm just going to do this one. But yeah, these MBC30 chips come from Japanese Pokemon Crystal carts, which you can get anywhere really, eBay, places like that. Right, so I'm going to start with some plugs. Lots of flux on there. Get that lined up. See if I can get this tapped in place properly this time. Get it lined up. Can't really see very well because of my fingers. Now I think that looks good. We'll just tack in the one pin, but that looks good to me. So I'll tack in a pin there, and I'll tack in a pin here. Just get the both sides tacked in like that. And then I'll start with this side here. This is just the way I do it. Got enough solder in there? I think so. This should be as easy as just running your iron down each pin like that. It should literally just be that easy. Don't put too much solder on your iron because you'll just get bridges and it'll just take ages to... You'll have to bust out the braid and stuff and it'll just take ages. You only need a bit of solder and you can get that done in one sweep like that. That's literally all that takes. And then you just go around each side and do that. And we'll do this side. Flux. If anyone's wondering what flux this is, it's just that stuff. Got it on eBay. Don't know if it's good, but it works for me. Just dropped it on the mat there. Don't know if it's any good, but it works for me. I've probably got too much solder on my iron here, but I can show you what happens if you have too much. If that is indeed the case. Now I can't see from where I am if that's bridged or not. I think, let's have a look. Yeah, it's bridged. But that's fine. Clean all the solder up your tip. Put some more flux on. And then just drag, and hopefully the bridge will come off. It's almost off. Right, I can see that bridge is still there, but it's only a tiny one, so we can probably just flick it off and it'll come off like that. I may need to use a tiny bit more flux. Yeah, look like I'm going to have to use a bit more flux. Tiny bit more flux. Being stuck in this one. There we go. A little bit more flux, clean tip. Clean tip is the key to getting out solder bridges like that. Make sure you've got no solder on your iron tip. If I can get that in shot there. Yeah, just make sure you don't have any solder on your tip. That's what she said. Yeah. So just make sure that's clean. Put some flux on and then just go over it a couple of times and hopefully your bridge will come free. Bit of solder on there. Do I have a bridge? Yes, I do. So again, just clean your tip. Some more flux. And just up and down like that. And that'll get your bridge free. I'm not trying... I'm really not trying to make this a soldering tutorial. I'm just trying to keep the video from being silent by talking about the first thing that comes into my head, pretty much. I'm sure you'll let us know in the comments if I'm annoying or not. Well, that was nice and easy. Clean me tip. We'll just go over that one more time just to be safe. Yeah, well, that's good. So that's that chip done. And it looks pretty good actually. Got no bridges anyway. That last pin there, that doesn't look like it's solid, does it? This one on the end. Let me have a close-up look at that. Yeah. That's fine. If you're not sure, just go over it again. And if you want, you can put a bit of pressure on the chip, just so when you heat it up, you know, it presses down a bit, so you'll get a better connection. Yeah, that looks better. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I am happy with that. Next chip. This is the power management chip. This is what, strictly speaking, this chip's not really necessary. I mean, it is necessary for the circuit to work, but because I'm using FRAM, which is what this doesn't need to be powered by the battery. So this chip doesn't really need to be here. The battery is only going to be powering the real-time clock. So it doesn't need to, it just doesn't need to be there really. This power management chip is for switching, you know, when you power up the cartridge is then, you get power through the pin here, I think it's pin 1, yeah. Cartridge power comes through, and that's what powers your SRAM. But when you turn the cartridge off, your SRAM is then powered by the battery. And this chip is what controls the switching of the power management, basically. But because this is FRAM, this doesn't need to be powered when it's off. When the cartridge is not powered, this doesn't need to keep being powered all the time. So you're not going to be getting this battery powering this chip. So this isn't necessary, strictly speaking. But it's there anyways, in case you wanted to use SRAM. If you even can use SRAM on these, I don't even know if you can. I don't see why you would though. Why would you risk losing your saves when you don't need to? I do not know. I need some solder. Actually, this chip's quite small, so I'm going to use these to line it up. That looks good. Tack that in place. I can go ahead and solder the other side. This is simple, this one. Wide pin pitch, only 4 pins. Bang, done. Actually, don't even know if I've got enough solder on the tip left. No, I don't. So I'll put a bit more on. There we go. Get a bit of solder off there. Obviously, I'm going to clean this board when I'm done. It's a mess at the moment with all the flux, but yeah, I'll give it a good clean. And the last chip, this one, this tiny little thing. I believe this is an OR gate? I don't know how OR gates work. I'm not really good with electronics. I'm more of a soldering person. I like to solder and assemble things. I'm not one of these people that has like a diploma or a degree in electrical engineering. But I believe this is an OR gate for the RAM. Don't know what that means or how it works, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Anyways, how does this line up? Let's see. So pin 1 goes in the bottom right corner, and I believe that the little dots here, this is pin 1 on this side, so I need to rotate this 180 degrees. So that's lined up properly now. Put a drop of solder on. This is going to be fun to line up. Good enough for me. Let's put another drop of flux on that, just to be sure that it's flown properly. Solder that is. Yeah, that looks good to me. That looks perfectly fine. Got a light, no light there. That's better. So that is all the main chips on the board. Everything else is just like capacitors, resistors, and the real-time clock crystal, which goes here, which I will solder right now, actually. Now this isn't polarized, so you can solder this. You can solder this any way you want. The way I usually do this is I'll tin one pad like so, and then I'll put this in place. Over one leg like that, and then I'll just come around here and solder this side as well. Like that. And that's it for that. That's all that takes. Right, so now we have to do capacitors and resistors. So the first ones are, let's have a look. 100 nanofarad. Those are the first capacitors. I'm sure I've got an open one here somewhere. Yes, there it is. Come here. There's only 3 left in this one, actually. So you need 5 of these. Move this down a bit. There's 3 there. Just need an extra 2. Like so. Well, the way I like to solder these, I like to pin one pad first with solder and then attach the capacitor. Right, if you give me a second, I'll just move these out of the way without pinging them across the room, preferably, which I've just done. Right, move those out of the way. So these 5 capacitors are C1. I'm going to let me clean this tip. C1, C2, which is down here. You can't see. It's at the bottom here. C3, which is right in the middle there. C4 is at the top, I think. Yeah, there's C4 there. Actually, no, wait, C4 is... Yeah, C4 is a different one, my mistake. C1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 are the 0.1s. The 100 nanofarad. So, C6 and C7, which is in the middle here. So once I've done that, I'd like to grab my tweezers, line it up. Is this lined up? No, it's not. I'll bring it over. Line it up and just slide it in like that. Once it's on, I like to press the capacitor down and then touch it, just so that it's, you know, flat against the board. Doesn't matter if it's not, you know, fully straight. Just did that off camera, but yeah. Just like that. So C1, C2, which is at the bottom here. C2. I usually go around the board and just attach them all first, and then I'll go around and tack in the other side. So C7. C3, which is in the middle there as well. C3 and C6, which is over here. Like so. And then yeah, obviously I'll just go back and tap the other side in like that. Just touch that up a bit there. Like so. And that's those 5 done. Now the next 2 are 15 picofarad. Hang on, are these the right ones? Yes, they are. Okay, I'm just double checking. Sanity check. So you want 2 of those. And these ones are C4 and C5, which are the ones at the top here. Nice and simple. This is where having a big iron like this is a bit of a pain. Trying to get into these little gaps. But you can make it work. Need to clean the end of these tweezers because they're a bit sticky from all the flux. So I find capacitors and things like that tend to stick to them when I'm trying to pick them up. It's a little off center, that one. That's better. That'll do. Go. Right now, that's the capacitors done. Now we have resistors. So the first one is a 1K. 1K resistor. Oops. I accidentally got 2 out there by mistake. It's all good. 1K resistor, and this goes on R3, which is down here. See what I mean? Look, it sticks to the end of the tweezers, which can be quite annoying sometimes. Barely touched it there and it's stuck to it still. There we go. Like so. Get little points in the solder, like little bits sticking up when you've soldered it like that. Just touch it up like that. It's usually enough. You can drop a bit of flux on it as well, that'll help. So the next one is a 10k resistor. By the way, what I'll do is I'll leave links in the description to all of the chips that I've used. Well, obviously apart from, you know, the ones that have to be salvaged from real carts. But, you know, things like the Rom and Flash Chip, things like that. I'll leave links to those that you can buy on like Aliexpress and things like that. In case you know, don't know where to get them from. Forgotten where I was. Oh yeah. So we got a 1k resistor here. No, we haven't. That was the last one I did. 10k. That's what I meant to say. 10k resistor. Which I can't get out of the pack for some reason. There we go. Ridiculously small, these things. Trying to turn it over so I can pick it up. There we go. Well, actually, I don't even need to pick it up right now because I need to tin the pad first. That would probably help. So this one is R2, I believe. Yes, R2 in the middle here. It's not perfectly centered, but it's fine. It doesn't have to be, as long as it's making a good connection. I actually, because I heated it up, I touched it with such a big tip, I actually heated both sides and it kind of pulled itself into place. So yeah, that's a thing apparently. But yeah, that's R2. The last one is R1, which is, I forget which one this is. Oh, actually, I forget which one this is because the packet that it's in isn't even labelled. I think it's a 330 ohm or 330k ohm, one of the two. It'll be in the, all the components for these, by the way, will be on HDR's GitHub. He lists the bill of materials, I guess you could call it. It's all listed on his GitHub if you want to make one of these. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a 330 ohm resistor, or 330k ohm. One of the two. One. There we go. And that right there is the last component that we need to solder. That's it, all done. The only thing left to solder really is the battery holder, which is very simple. I mean, look at the size of it. Super simple. Before I do that, what I'm going to do is, though, I'm going to clean the board entirely first. So I'll zoom out. No, that's in. Yeah, I'll zoom out. We'll get that cleaned up. Cleaning this is pretty simple. If you're watching this, you've probably watched other videos like this. It's just a bit of isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush. Just give it a scrub. Just go over the pins a bit. Make sure there's no flux on them. And that's pretty much it, really, for that. Just dry it off first. And once it's clean, we can go ahead and put the battery holder on now. Battery holder is very simple. What I like to do is tin the pads first, just with a very thin layer of solder. Where did I put my solder? There it is. So I'll tin these pads up first with a very thin layer of solder. Like so. I don't really like using flux on these because if I use flux and then I solder that down, it's going to be very hard to get under there to clean that pad, because that's your negative pad for the battery. That's the pad the battery's going to be touching for negative. So you don't really want, flux and stuff like that on that pad. So I don't really like using flux because it's very hard to clean once the holder's soldered down. So what I'll do is I'll just tin those pads, line that up, and then I'll just kind of floor one side in first, making sure it's lined up, obviously. Heat that up. Yeah, that didn't really work. I should probably turn my iron up a bit. I'll put some solder on it, that'll help. There we go. That's soldered down. I'm going to put more on there, obviously, that's just to hold it in place for now. And then I can come in here and floor a bunch of solder onto here. Like that. Press that down. Burn my finger. Ow, it's hot. Yeah, try not to burn your finger when you're doing this. It's usually better that way. Now just do the same on this side, just floor some solder in, heat it up, let go, and that's it. That's really all there is to it. You don't need to use flux on these. And that's it, the cart's done. It just needs to be flashed. You can use whatever you want to flash it. You can use a GBX cart. You can use a Joy Joe bag, something like that. Personally, I prefer to use the GBX cart from Inside Gadgets. Cheap plug there. But yeah, that's my preferred flashing device of choice. That's it really. I mean, there's nothing else to solder. Just flash whatever game you want to it, and then you're good to go. Really. What I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna grab a battery to put in it. I'm not gonna flash it in this video because, yeah, flashing it is just a matter of, taking your cart when it's done, plugging it in, plug it into your computer, go through the software, flash it, there you're done, basically. That's all there is to it when it comes to flashing it, so I'm not going to do that in this video. But what I will do is, I will install a battery, which is very simple. You just slide it in, like that. That card is finished. Completely finished. The only thing left to do is put it inside a cart shell rather. Put it inside a cart shell, put a label on it, And that's it. Done. Fortunately, I don't have a label on hand right now to stick onto it. You know, if I was going to do Prism, I would just stick a label on it like that. But I don't have any ready at the moment. I need to cut them out and stuff. So, yeah. But when it's done, it'll look like that. Or at least mine do. Yours can look like whatever you want them to look like. But mine will look like that. And that's it. Finished. Enjoy.